Hello students, welcome to week 5 for PRL 550. This week we are reviewing PR tactics and how they relate to our campaign as well as public relations. You'll see we're reading chapters 8 and 9 in the course text as well as watching a video on how to build a brand. It's really important that you read all of the information in the text as well as watch the video, as it has a lot of pertinent, direct and indirect information that relates directly to what we'll be working on this week. This week we have PR campaign activity number 2 due on Sunday, as well as discussion board number 5 due on Friday, with reply posts due on Sunday as well. The prompt for our discussion this week focuses on looking at the last event you attended that you suspect may have been organized or sponsored by a PR agency, department, or something of that nature. So think about the last major event you attended and think about who were the people behind planning, sponsoring, promoting, and creating the event. Do you see any evidence of this sponsoring organization following the guidelines used within the chapter? What were some of the PR goals for the event? Did attending the event change your opinion of the sponsor? Why or why not? After that, I want you to think of some experiences that you've had in high school and college, or even just in a significant period of time in your life, and what do you remember about external sponsorships of school activities? Perhaps if you don't have personal experiences related to college or high school, then think about maybe times you may have seen that happen either with your children's high schools or colleges, or you've seen happen just indirectly in those areas. What do you remember about those external sponsored school activities? Did participating in events or observing events like this influence you to buy that company's product or service? And what was your general perception of this as well? The third thing we're going to do is look at the specialty items you have at home. Which do you use and where? And do they remind you of the organization that influenced your decision? The organization, does it remind you of the organization or influence your decisions you make? So look at some specialty items, maybe things you've purchased as souvenirs at theme parks, or anything that you may have bought because you've seen it used by somebody on social media or anything like that, and think about what has influenced the decisions you make behind that product and in turn indirectly throughout life. So what we're doing in this prompt is we're looking at the people behind events, product placements, as well as high school and college and school sponsorships to see how they relate to public relations, strategic communication, and getting messages out there for organizations. PR campaign activity number 5 asks you to develop your tactics for your campaign. So you'll have at least 6 tactics in your campaign. We're going to describe exactly what tactics are in the following slide. But tactics are action items that are completed throughout the campaign. They're actually what you're doing in the campaign. It's what you're implementing, what you're executing, what you're doing to meet your goals and objectives. So hosting an event, launching a TV ad campaign, implementing community outreach, getting press release, garnering press coverage, being, getting journalists to your event, using influencers. All of those are tactics. So what you need to do this week is create 6 tactics you will use for your campaign. 3 of them must be physical, which is in the course name of our course, and 3 of them must be social. So physical campaign tactics are traditional public relations. Anything that doesn't hover around the internet or digital media tools. Anything that has to do with the internet, digital media tools, social media, things like that are social tactics. So you need to have 3 of each. Some physical tactics are hosting events, launching television ads, getting placement in the newspaper, creating a press release. Those are traditional tactics. Social tactics are tactics related to utilizing social media, internet, advertisements, blogging, things like that. Not only are you going to list your 6 tactics for your campaign, you're going to provide an in-depth description for each of them. So I'm looking to see a description of what this tactic is, why it's important, and how it relates to your campaign goals, as well as a rationale for the use of it in your campaign. So simply describing your tactic isn't going to be sufficient. I'm going to need to see, yes, the description, what it is and why it's useful. I want to see how it relates to your campaign goals and objectives, and then I also want to see a rationale as to why it needs to be in your campaign. Because I could say I'm going to host a community event and it really doesn't have any direct influence or it's not going to be impactful to my audience, but it is a PR tactic and it is useful in general, but I want to see why you have selected it and what's the rationale behind it for your campaign. Then the third thing you need to do is provide an example for each tactic you have listed. So if you've picked host a community event, then I want to see a flyer for that community event. with the date and the time and the place that you would have it. If you've selected, I want to reach out to bloggers and have bloggers blog about my topic to build awareness about it, that's fine. Provide a sample blog of what that would look like. Same thing with social media coverage. Provide some sample posts. Each tactic needs to have an example. You can have more than one example. That would be great. However, it's only required to have one. As we look at PR tactics, it's important to know that tactics are the tools or action items for your PR plan. Like I mentioned, they are the means used to gain an objective. A tactic is sometimes referred to as strategy on wheels. So our strategy it comes from our situation analysis and our goals and objectives and our campaign purpose, and then we put that into action within our tactics. So it's important to keep in mind that goals, strategies, and tactics and objectives are all the basic ingredients for a great PR plan. But it's important to know that your tactics should come out through your strategy. Without a great strategy, there are not any tactics. So when I look at your list of tactics, your rationale that you're providing really tells me what your strategy is, how you plan to use them, that whole description underneath it. So that's really needs to be beefed up in that part. Remember that tactics are what you do in the campaign. I've listed here some things that they include, but they're not limited to. It's important to keep in mind and to know that as we do this, we use this as a way to develop our brand and develop our identity within the campaign. So we're focusing on brand awareness. Some of us have picked causes, some of us have picked companies to rebrand. You need to think about how your tactics relate to what the specific purpose is of your campaign. If that's promoting awareness or building awareness around this particular cause or thing going on in the world, that's great. Your tactics need to reflect that. It needs to show us how we're going to build that awareness. Likewise with rebranding a company. If you selected a company, you need to say, or rebranding or new branding, how do these tactics reflect building awareness about what this company is, what they present, what they represent, not just their products, but what is their message behind them? Who are they? What do they do? If you were a fitness trainer, your brand and your topic and your reflection would be, who are you? What's your story? And why should people invest in you to help train them? It's the story behind you. So your tactics really should reflect the story of what we're communicating within our public relations campaigns, which is ultimately building awareness for this course, but it can be many different things as you move into the industry. To recap, I want you to know that we are reading chapter 8 and 9. We're watching a video on how to build a brand. We're completing activity 5, as well as discussion board number 5, which is due on Friday with reply posts due on Sunday. If you have any questions, let me know. I look forward to interacting with you this week and pray you all have a great week.